Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. Today, I will talk about the vulnerability of living donors according to the following points. A vulnerable person is someone who is at increased risk of harm due to their limited ability to understand or communicate consent, making them unable to protect themselves for various reasons. There are 6 stages that can lead to becoming a vulnerable living donor: limited capacity to understand or communicate, incomplete decision-making capacity, incapacity to protect oneself, urgent medical condition requiring organ donation, lack of supportive legal, social, or ethical frameworks, and lack of comprehensive medical support. In the literature I found on vulnerability analysis for living organ donors is a 2018 paper by Ross on prisoners. In her paper, she outlines 8 elements of vulnerability for potential living donors: cognitive, juridic, legal, differential, social, medical, situational, allocational, and infrastructural. The first and most important level involves a limited ability to understand or communicate. Cognitive vulnerability refers to impaired capacity to give informed consent due to conditions such as developmental immaturity, mental retardation, and mental illness that limit understanding and decision making. The importance of this element was also recognized in Witton's 2021 study, which showed that the greatest ethical challenge faced by living donor advocates participants was their decision-making capacity, followed by their emotional or psychological distress. The second stage is incompatible decision-making capacity, and the third stage is inability to protect oneself, both influenced by social isolation, lack of power, and cultural factors. These 2 categories include Ross's second, third, and fourth elements: juridic, differential, and social vulnerabilities. Juridic vulnerability affects potential donors who are under the legal authority of others, such as prisoners or children, who may face pressure to donate organs due to conflicting interests from those in power. Differential vulnerability affects potential living donors who may be reluctant to donate organs against internal pressures, such as children facing intense family demands, as opposed to juridic vulnerability, which involves external influence. Socio-cultural vulnerability affects marginalized potential donors who are at risk of coercion or exploitation, such as women in male-dominated culture. Research shows that cultural and religious pressure can influence decision to donate organs, as shown in the studies from Iran and Irving's 2012 work in Australia and North America. These elements lead to more women than men becoming organ donors. Abstract data here shows a significant gender imbalance in living organ donation in Asian culture. This gender disparity, shaped by cultural and socio-economic factors, highlights concerns about the potential coercion in Asia. The first stage for vulnerable donors involves having an urgent medical condition that requires organ donation. This stage combines Ross's element 5 and element 6 into one, where medical vulnerability includes medical conditions such as ESRD, which limits the effectiveness of treatment, and situational vulnerability due to urgent conditions such as acute liver failure, which reduce the time available to decide to donate. In this situation, gender-specific vulnerability arises also from responsible and caregiving expectations that disproportionately for a woman, as evidenced by abstract data, which shows that the proportion of females among living spouse donors is extremely high. The fifth stage is the absence of a supportive legal, social, and ethical framework, which leads to donors to expect various types of compensation. This allocational vulnerability involves donors of expecting benefits, which can also lead to expectation for financial compensation, which necessitates close monitoring and control. The final stage is characterized by comprehensive lack of medical care, and it is associated with Ross's infrastructural vulnerability. I prefer to name this as health-related vulnerability, where health conditions are likely to be developed or exacerbated by donation. Therefore, living donors must be able to maintain their health not only before and after the operation, but also through a lifelong supportive program for medical and psychological care. Do we miss anything? I would add financial vulnerability to this because, as you know, financial issues are linked to many risk factors, especially in low-middle income Asian countries. To summarize what I have said so far, and comparing it with Ross's elements, I can propose the following 9 elements as the profile of a vulnerable living donor. This includes cognitive, juridic, psychological, socio-cultural vulnerabilities, situational vulnerability, and allocational, health-related, and financial vulnerabilities. Thank you for listening. Thank you.